Man, hey, we're back. It's the hiatus. I am in Las Vegas, man, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm only about 40 minutes from the crib. Hop on a flight, and I'm here with the amazing Miss Tori Gordon. Welcome to the hiatus. Thank you for doing this. I know you're a woman that's a busy woman. We just came upstairs from recording her amazing podcast, the Coachable Podcast. Gosh, I am just blown away by your trajectory in this space. And I'm learning a lot. Like, you know, me and B, we just like the renegades. Like we just we just running and gunning, man. We packed up the stuff. Tori invited us out to Las Vegas to be on her podcast. I hit B. I'm like, hey man, we need to figure out what weekends work. And literally last weekend we were in Birmingham filming most of our stuff. I was like, bro, can you go next weekend?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I haven't spent a lot of time here in Las Vegas, but yeah, here we are, man. You know, what happens in Vegas? What do they say?
Stays in Vegas.
Stays in Vegas.
But we're gonna put it on the internet instead.
Exactly. We're gonna post it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, Tori, like this whole podcast space, I guess I would just start, you know, like jumping right in, just give me, you know, right now, like what you're enjoying most about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's cool to catch up. It's cool to be in your environment, your element.
Yeah.
And I'm busy, but never too busy for good people. Good
I love
conversation.
that. Yeah.
What am I loving about the podcast space? I love that it's kind of like no rules. You get to create your own rules. It's
I love that.
What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Because there's an audience for that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think it gives you some freedom outside of the like constraints of having to produce content in a certain way, especially when you're doing video and audio.
Yeah.
And that's really fun to have that kind of creative freedom and to do something that's uniquely you.
Yes.
Because that's the thing people remember. It's like your stamp of how does Caleb run his stuff, you know? And I just love the fact that even though social media has its downsides but like podcasting is this ability and this way of like connecting with people all over the world.
Yeah.
And that there are audiences and people that need the message that you have to share in the way that you uniquely share it. And so that's what I'm about. It's like, how do you find what that is and then exploit it in the service of others and give it away?
Yes. I love the word that you just said, service. You know, I feel like kind of that's been in the back of my mind ever since like I really felt like God was asking me to kind of curate this space. Is like I feel 100% that I'm serving. And it's like what we were talking about earlier. It's like I really feel like right now during this hiatus, like I could be doing whatever. Like we could be down at Encore Beach Club. We could be, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever. Like we got the lovers and friends later, but it's us taking the time to sit down and it's not out of pride of saying I have so much to offer this space and I'm this and I'm that. It's like, no, let's explore, you know, a conversation about our lives and see what comes to the surface that people can take from us and apply to their own life.
Yeah.
And you are somebody that has, gosh, the fact that you're even just sitting here in the position that you are with the things that you have been able to go through and conquer emotionally and mentally is just incredible. It's profound. And, you know, I obviously know you on a personal level. We've known each other since college.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to see like the woman you were then, which was an amazing person, so full of courage. And I feel like you've always been somebody with big dreams. Like even though you grew up in small towns, like we grew up in small towns, it doesn't surprise me that we're sitting here in Las Vegas. We just left a massive, amazing studio at the Wynn.
Yeah.
With your face in there in the name of your podcast. Like,
yeah.
Incredible. But really what I would love to kind of get into in this space, since I have you here, is like, man, how would you encourage somebody that is trying to navigate a space and time in their life where like stuff is not going well? It's like, you know, given what you have walked through with your amazing mother, who was so strong and so beautiful, your sister is amazing, and even you have an amazing dad.
Yeah.
You know, like, just kind of dive into that and what that feels like being in those times of kind of quote unquote tragedy.
Yeah.
And trying to walk through that stuff, man, because it's not easy. Like, people sit right now, they see this beautiful woman that looks so put together. You got this amazing show, but it's a journey.
Definitely. It is. I mean, I think I'm not unique in the fact that I've been through hard things.
Yeah.
You know, everybody that listens to the show and watches the show can relate to the fact that they've been in a position at some point in life where something happened to them that they weren't expecting, and they didn't know how to, didn't feel prepared in how to handle that. And that was my life for about 10 years. It just felt like there was a consistent new.
Hold on, she didn't say 10 minutes, y'all. Folks don't want to experience 10 minutes of pain, let alone a decade.
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years, and it was just blow after blow, hit after hit of really intense, heavy shit. Honestly.
Yeah.
And so what I would first say is that trauma doesn't discriminate.
You know what we call that in the hiatus? We call that that's an aquaphor moment right there, boy. You just
take a little sip.
I need a little, hold on, let me get anybody to chat me with that one. Golly.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It
Trauma does not discriminate.
You are born, what you look like, how much money you make. Life will life. It will be what it is, and its nature is uncertainty, like water is wet. That is life.
Golly, she cooking already. God. Whoa, I love that. I love what you said, because, like, yeah, that uncertainty is like water is wet, boy.
It is.
That thing gonna jump on your back, and it's like. It's funny because, like, uncertainty it's present. It's not present. Sometimes it's around the corner. It can blindside you. Like, there's so much with that. Like, I don't want to cut you off, but like, keep going.
Well, I would just say that, like, so whether you're in the middle of going through uncertainty or you're in the middle of dealing with something you didn't see coming. For me, that looked like a diagnosis. That looked like cancer. That looked like the tornado that came through Tuscaloosa when we were in college.
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
I grew up in Tuscaloosa. Our home was destroyed.
Wow.
2 weeks later, we had to take my sister off life support.
Wow.
You know, losing my mom to cancer 10 days after my 27th birthday. These are things that no matter how much runway you have in terms of preparation, or you know something's coming, it still hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? So the first thing I say, whether you're in the middle of it or you've been through it, what's certain is that we're gonna go through hard things in life.
Yeah.
And you don't heal or recover or become resilient or strong as a result of avoiding hard things.
That's right. That's right. Because it's inevitable, right?
It's inevitable.
Yeah, like you said, like I love this book by M. Scott Peck. He's this psychologist, and he basically on the first page of the book, he opens up. He said, the first thing you need to realize, like before we even take this journey throughout this book, is you have to come to the realization right now, be honest, and realize that life is problems.
Yes.
And the culmination of your mental health and the overall piece of your life comes down to how you tackle those problems.
100%.
How do you tackle the hardship of losing the woman that birthed you, nurtured you, all of those things 10 days after celebration?
You know, not well.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's I think there's a time and space that you hopefully can give yourself to start to pick up the pieces, because it's like a storm, right? And it leaves all this emotional debris around.
Yeah.
And most of us aren't taught how to clean up emotional debris. After the tornado that came through Tuscaloosa, we went out and we picked shit up.
We did.
We started to rebuild. We started to clear out.
Yeah.
Find out what was left over, assess the damage. And so what you do is you start by assessing the damage.
Yeah.
Internally.
Yeah. Wow.
How am I? What's working? What's not working? What's online? What has been ripped up and torn apart?
Isn't it unique how pain opens you up like that?
Yeah.
Like it lays everything out on
Bare.
the table.
It's like, here it is.
Yeah. Look at yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you end up facing it and looking at it, or you run from it. And for me, you know, I think what I realized, I said this to you last night, is no matter where you go, there you are. I tried to outrun it. You know, I tried to avoid it, not deal with it, and sweep it under the rug and pretend that and talk myself into being, I'm okay when I'm not, and all.
What were some of the things you tried to? How'd you try to cope with it?
Bouncing from relationship to relationship, climbing the ladder in my job, moving to new cities, all of those things, right? And so I remember being in San Diego and thinking that all my problems would go away if I could just like
I forgot you spent some time out there.
Get a new environment, get around new people, leave all the past behind, right?
Yeah.
Get out of where I came from, put distance between me and that thing.
Yeah.
But I took it with me.
Wow.
And it would show up, and I remember
you were there.
There I was.
There I was.
And it was like, hey, I'm still here hanging out.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Hey,
pay attention to me.
This hurt girl that lost her mother. We're right here.
Yep. And and you haven't.
Let's deal with this.
You haven't paid attention to me. Wow. So there was like this inner calling of like, hey, attend to this. There's something that needs your attention. Yeah. That you've been putting in every other place that you can find. Oof. And when I looked inward, it was tough, but I recognized really quickly this was the work that I needed to do that I'd been avoiding, that I didn't even know I needed. Yes. And so that was the beginning of starting to pick up the pieces and find a way forward. Yeah. And the life that I live now, you know, I'm quite a bit removed from those things just because time has helped a good bit, but I've also done a lot of work to get to this point. Yeah. And that kind of like transitions great into my next thought was like, you know, I have a saying that people need people. And you know, in times like that, like there are people who unfortunately have to navigate those spaces alone. Sure. So did you have, who was kind of like integral in guiding you kind of through that? Were there some people that God brought into your life that kind of helped you navigate that space? It's interesting because at the beginning, I didn't feel like because I had been projecting this persona of being strong and having it together and being okay when I wasn't. Yeah. So a lot of the friends and
we all do.
Yeah, people in my life thought I was good when I wasn't, and I was really scared to be honest. Sheesh. Because so much was going for me. I had a lot of external things, so despite the losses I experienced,
you were killing
like, things were going well. Yeah, I had a great career. I'd bought a house. I had a great quote unquote relationship. All the things, and I felt guilty about not being happy. Wow. And I was like, I would talk to myself, like, why can't you just be grateful?
Sheesh.
Why can't you just be happy? Like, are you ever, like, is anything ever going to satisfy you?
Wow.
And I would try to like talk myself into being okay and be like, it's fine. You're happy. Like, you're happy.
Trying to talk yourself around those
right.
issues. Yeah.
So I didn't at the beginning have a ton of people that I felt like I could confide in, even though looking back now I could have. I just, for whatever reason, didn't feel like it was safe. Yeah. And so the funny thing is I went to things like this. I started listening to podcasts.
Oh, wow.
It was conversations like this that I heard on other people's shows that started to give me the courage to start to be honest.
Yes.
And so I was like a sponge. I was like, I know something is off inside of me. I got a great life, but on the inside it feels like crap.
Yeah.
And I got to figure out why. And I've got to figure out what's worth living for. Oof. What's worth giving my time and my energy to. Because I realized in losing so many family members is my time and my energy are my greatest assets. Yeah. I can never get them back.
That's right.
What am I giving to? What am I giving them to? And what is worth that?
Yeah. What is worth that currency? Because it's currency.
It is the greatest form of currency.
Yeah.
Our attention. Mm-hmm. And so, so I started listening to shows like this. I started hearing people be real, be raw, and it was so refreshing. And this is why I think conversations like this and this kind of show needs to exist, because you said it, there are a lot of people that are suffering in silence.
Absolutely.
So many people that are so scared to say, I'm not good.
Yeah.
Because if I admit that I'm not good, if I say it out loud, that means I got to do something different.
Yes.
Yes. If I admit it.
Yeah, if you confessing it, you got to deal with it.
Then I'm responsible for doing something
That's right.
about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as soon as I say it out loud, that makes it real.
You're accountable to deal with that truth.
And now people know that I'm either willing to continue to live in this level of suffering, or I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times in my life where there was this recurring theme when I would feel a certain way and I was like, I never want to feel like this again.
Sheesh.
And God said, all right, then you got to do something different.
Yeah. 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 If you want a different result.
Right. So that started with a whole self-discovery process of really starting to get to know myself and what I need and how I'm doing and how to take care of myself, what brings me joy, what lights me up, what's meaningful, and then start putting in work every single day to build more of that.
That's right. You were saying a few things, like you were kind of like telling yourself, like, why can't you be grateful? Why can't you this, right? What are some of the...
You should be happy.
Yeah, right. Like, what are some of, what is some of the self-talk and dialogue that you were having with yourself that you found to be most effective? Because I know that voice very well. The you should be this voice. Well, I'm not. So I can't just flip this switch. What some of the self-talk that you discovered, like, because you have to learn to give yourself grace.
Totally.
I
think one thing that I cling to, and I really held on to at that period of time too, was this idea of looking at other people. Like, I would find reference points of people who'd been through some hard things, right? Yeah. And I would hear about people that were, as I listened to podcasts and started like doing my own like personal development, the people that I looked up to and admired, right?
Yeah.
They didn't get there, and their lives hadn't been rosy and easy,
No, never. But
I started to look at them and hear their stories, and one of the things that I really clung to was, if they can insert, fill in the blank, if they can heal, if they can forgive, if they can chase their dream, if they can take a different route, why can't I?
Yeah.
That was the self-talk. If they can do it, that means I can do it.
You can do it.
Instead of comparison and being like, I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, if they can do it, why can't I? And it started to build this level of like, oh, it's possible.
It's possible.
You don't have to live like this forever.
You start believing, and that believing is powerful.
Totally.
And you start taking those steps of real healing, and you find the peace and comfort in despite of the tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people allow things that happen to them, right? Like they make it who they are.
Yes.
They make it, oh, I'm the guy whose wife left him, or I'm the girl whose mother and sister died, you know, in these you know, the way they did. And they start taking on that identity when that's not who you are. It's just something that happened to you.
The ego's funny like that. Because the ego likes to be right about itself.
You know what my dad calls ego? EGO, evil going on. A lot of evil going on.
Yeah, it's the ego loves to be right about itself, even if it's the right that I'm the most abused, I was the most wrong, I was the most, like, I was the most betrayed, the most abandoned. So that we can feel justified in our pain.
Oh.
And so I was like, I had to look at all the ways I was participating in my own suffering. And perpetuating that story that I am a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things you were talking about, self-talk, I had to get rid of the idea of poor me. Why me?
Wow.
Self-pity is the enemy of healing and progress.
Wow.
Feeling bad for yourself, you can live in that and wallow in that your entire life.
Yeah.
And you'll be justified.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard.
Nobody's
hard.
Yeah, nobody's gonna, like, you could very well like be a very bitter, sad, whatever woman living in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Like, you know, when God had this
pessimistic of it, just being like, why even try?
Yeah.
Bad things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, I here's the thing. One of the hallmarks of trauma is choicelessness.
Wow. Go into that.
I think we're all traumatized. We didn't choose what family we're born into. We didn't choose what color of skin we get.
Yeah.
How much money, where we go to school.
Yeah.
Like what ethnic background we have.
Yeah.
So for a lot of us, even just being born into the situations we're in is traumatizing.
Yeah.
We didn't get to choose and decide, you know.
Right.
I didn't decide or have a say in a lot of the things that have happened in my life that have been super traumatic and tragic.
Yeah.
But healing from trauma requires reclaiming your sovereignty to make choices for yourself.
Come on. Yes.
I didn't get to decide what happened to me, but I get to decide what I'm going to do about it.
That's it. Yeah. How can I weaponize this for me and not against me?
That's where my power is, in my ability to choose.
That's right.
Instead of giving my power away and saying, nope, I give up and I resign to life because of this thing that occurred.
Yeah.
And so I think part of my work and my life and my story is about how do we reclaim our sovereignty, which is our humanness, which is our ability to decide and choose for ourselves.
Yes.
Instead of being told what we have to do or who we have to be or how we have to live or what's appropriate and how we have to heal.
Yeah.
It's like, no, what do I want and how does it work for me?
Yes.
And I think that's what people need to hear is that you know, only you know, like, no one knows you better than you do.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. I don't know. My mama might.
Yeah.
Maybe G Castille. But no. I get what you're saying. Like nobody knows you better than you. And it's like, you know, even as people sit here and they hear this conversation, like they're still going to have to take this journey for themselves, right?
100%.
Like, you know, but all of these are great things in helping people navigate, right? Because like you said earlier, like we are all more alike than we
are different.
You know, than we are different. And that thing that you said about choice, like being able to reclaim your sovereignty of choice and you choosing, like that is something that is so profound because that is your power. When you're able to reclaim, right? Because all the enemy wants to do through these situations is put you in a cage. Mm-hmm. He wants you to be a victim to your circumstances, right? But God says, no, I'm going to use this to bring out my glory. And guess what? It's dope about that. I'm going to make you the main character in this. You the main character in this story that I'm writing.
And so often I get this picture of a prisoner behind bars, right?
Yeah.
And yet there's these bars they're holding on to and it's open on both sides. They can walk around to freedom. But sometimes we
holding on to their own
our limitations, our stories of why we can't, why it won't work, all the reasons why, like, we think it's not for us. And you will always find evidence for the story that you choose to believe.
Yes.
So if you want to find reason why life's against you,
we become our greatest accuser.
You're going to find it.
If
you want to find a reason why your guy isn't faithful, you're going to find it. You'll go get what you go looking for.
Yep.
So for me, it was like, I want to go start looking for all the reasons why life is for me. It's working for me. It's on my side. That I'm supported, that I am abundant, that I want to go looking for the evidence of that story.
Yes.
That God hasn't forgotten about me.
Yes.
My story isn't over.
Yes.
My best days are still ahead of me.
Ahead of you. Yes.
I wake up and I'm like, we were talking about this. Can't wait to be surprised today.
Yeah.
What's going to happen today?
What's going to happen today, Lord? I'm so excited. I wake up expectant every single day. And that's a part of the whole faith journey, right? That you wake up every day and you're just expecting greatness.
Yeah.
Because anything outside of that isn't God's character, right? It's not in line with who he is. So everything that you're talking about with this journey of walking through these very traumatic things, and like you just said, having to find the evidence that supports what God says about you and his truth and all of the power that's in that, that's when you really start living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when you really start walking in victory over your circumstance and not allowing your circumstance to have victory over you.
Exactly.
And that's what we're looking at as I sit here and look at you today. You know what I mean? I'm looking at an amazing woman who has, like you said, like, when I asked you the question first, you were like, bruh, tough. Like, it was hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but it's realizing like, okay, like I'm going to be present in this, in what I'm feeling today and the emotions of what I'm feeling right now, not dismiss them and figure out, okay, hey, like, that's why I love the Lord's Prayer. Give me my daily bread. Give me what I need for right now. Yep. And that's the God that he is. That's the Father he is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's one of my favorite characteristics about the Lord, is because, like, with him in his presence, like, he is there and you can call on him in any moment of need, big or small, mountain or molehill, and he's going to supply it.
And I also want to normalize that when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was like, God, why have you forsaken me? When you're in your darkest moments, there are going to be moments where you think you've been forgotten.
Yeah.
Like, what? I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. Hold on. Whoa, that wasn't it. Did I read the fine print?
I'm sorry.
On my Facebook?
God won't give you more than you can handle. Well, God.
Yeah.
This is more than I can handle.
More than I can handle.
And it's like.
I love that.
But so it's okay if you've lost your hope.
Oh, wow. Woo.
If you have, you're a little bit like Jesus, because Jesus lost hope in a moment. He's like, God, I'm questioning some things.
Yes.
So I want to normalize that for people because you might go through something that causes you to question.
Yes.
God, if God loves you, if you're gonna be okay.
His sovereignty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like,
are you who you say you are? Because how would you allow this?
How would you allow this?
I wrestled with that.
Yeah. That right there is, I think that is, I would say, the most overlooked part of Jesus's journey, because he literally is sitting there, and I think it was like Peter and John that were in the garden with him, and he's like, Father, if I know we talked about this, and I know what you said.
Yeah.
But listen, if there is any other way that we can accomplish this mission, what is it?
Yeah.
And he was silent.
Yeah. No plan Bs.
None. He was silent. And in God's silence, what I have learned is to rely on the fact that he is God and I am not. He created me. I did not. He's sovereign over every situation. So, and it's like me, I've said this on the podcast before. It's like me in the gym. It's like, hey, if I die, I die. If I don't make it out of this, I don't make it out of this. But guess what? If I do live through this, oh, man.
And I talk about it like when I'm looking at my circumstances and we get so fixated on the thing that's causing us pain.
Of course.
We zoom in and we look just at that.
Yeah.
While if you're able to zoom out, which is really hard in the midst of hardship.
Yes.
In the midst of challenge. In the midst of adversity. Because all you're focused on is fix this problem.
Fix that problem.
Take this away. Make this better.
Yeah. It's like when you're in that relationship that all your friends are like, why are you dealing with this person? And then you get out of it, and then you're looking back, you're like, what in the world was I?
But you can't see the picture from inside the frame.
No, you can't.
That's the thing. When we're questioning God and wrestling with our faith, and which is completely okay.
Yeah.
Just remember, you've lost perspective. You can't see the full picture yet.
Sheesh.
It's still developing. You're in the corner of the photo, and you haven't seen everything else that's being like this part of it.
Yes.
And that this thing that you're going through is gonna be a chapter, right?
Yes.
It's a part of the story, but it's not the end of the story.
Yeah.
And so I try to remember that as like when I get so fixated on trying to make something different or change it, it's like actually it's all welcome.
Yes. It's all welcome.
Actually, it's all welcome.
Yeah.
Because it's providing contrast. In a photo, you need the contrast for it to show up.
Yes, to see them colors.
You can't see the light without the dark. You can't, you know what I mean? It has to both coexist.
Come on.
And so instead of being like, I hate this is wrong, go away, I'm like, can I be with this?
Wow. Yeah. You know what is so amazing about what you just said is when James has the conversation with Jesus, because James was lamed. He had a deformity. Jesus chooses not to heal James. As believers, can we live with that? You had to face the fact of, I can't imagine how many prayers you prayed.
I prayed and she wasn't healed. Can I be with that fact?
Can you be with that?
Yeah,
Man,
that's real.
That's real.
So real. And here's the thing. Because what happened doesn't mean that it's ideal. It doesn't mean that I like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm happy about it. But can I choose to have the perspective that maybe it's, for a second, it's not wrong. The fact that my sister died at 23, I used to have the perspective, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
God shouldn't have allowed this.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Wow.
Or like is it really wrong? Because as soon as I say it's wrong, that's like saying the sun should be over there. It's in the wrong part of the sky. And now I have switched roles with God, and I'm trying to decide, and I know what's best. And so my journey has been trying to get out of the role of being the puppeteer and like trying to control every bit of part of my life and think I know best, and surrender to a greater power that I believe deeply loves me.
Yes.
That says, I'm holding you in the midst of all of this, and I know that despite the fact that you can't see what I'm doing, it's for your best interest. Yeah. And just because I love you doesn't mean I don't love her.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I didn't love him. Doesn't mean da-da-da-da-da. All of it's working together for the good of the highest good of all. And that's what I cling to.
Yeah.
That's my self-talk.
Yeah.
In the midst of shit. I find the holy in the shit.
In the shit. I love that. You got to find the holy in the shit.
Yeah.
Man. Gosh, man. It's so interesting how, and I just got to say, thank you for that vulnerability of just being able to say, like, nah, bruh, it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, for 10 years. Yeah. For 10 years, it sucked, you know?
But this too shall pass. And, you know, there is, and one of the things, too, that I love is that, like, God being God, like, you can even look back at Adam and all, like, just go to Adam. It's like God partnered with Adam. Let us make man in our own image, right? Yeah.
Like that statement, us being image bearers of God, which blows my mind. I can't even unpack that in my mind in everything that goes with that. But the point of what I'm saying is that, like, you have this supreme being, Yahweh, God,
all
Yeshua, all of that, all of what he is, that has chosen to partner with his creation in so many things, and saying, like, the present sufferings that you are facing right now, these trials and tribulations, number one, you don't know what I'm doing. Trust me. Number two, I'm going to raise you up to where, like, you're going to be able to magnify my name. It's going to bring me glory. But in that same token, like, I will allow you to reach this place on earth that is a level of greatness, like this place that not a lot of people are allowing God to take them to, right? It's like, I don't want to have lived and breathed here and not tapped into every bit of the potential and the original intent that God had wrote for Joshua, Caleb, Castille. And I'm willing to go in the trenches, go wherever I need to go with him to do that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, just like what we're doing right now, I tell people all the time, your pain isn't for you. It's not just for you. You know how many things that I've been through in my life where I was able to literally directly, like, walk through that very same thing with someone in very close proximity of me. And so as you're walking through that and you come to those places of healing where you can talk about it, you could be very open and vulnerable about it. You got good fruit in that area. You got something to offer. And that's one of the beautiful things that I love, you know, about, you know, that the journey that God takes us on through those situations.
Well, people want to be promoted, but they don't want to go through the initiation to get there.
Yeah, I love it. There's a part of in Batman where Bane is talking about Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows, right? This group of elite assassins and what they have to go through. and he just and he has this line where he's like he whooping Bruce Wayne ass, about to break his back, and he's like, you know, I can't exactly remember what Bruce says, but it was something along the lines of like, well, that's kind of like, you can't do that, or that'll be impossible, or and Bane's like, not for the initiated.
Mm-hmm.
Not for those of us that have truly walked this thing.
Yeah.
Bro, I was born in the dark, bro. You just adapted this, dog. You grew up in Wayne Manor.
Mm-hmm.
But
this is all I've ever known.
That's all I ever known from I was born in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, and in order to be promoted, you got to be planted. And being planted happens in the dark.
What we talk about with my journey in LA. God had to plant me there, T. He was like, how I'm going to grow you somewhere you not planted, bro?
There you go.
How you going to grow something that's not planted? You got to have roots. And to grow and
that takes time.
And that takes time. That
nurturing,
takes nurturing, experience. It takes darkness. It takes sunlight. I'll tell you right now, man, I do not got a green thumb. I try my best, man, to nurture my plants at home and to do. But the thing is like, I remember one time what opened my eyes is the guy was telling me, he's like, yo, you putting too much light on these. Sometimes they need that darkness.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be in that space to grow the mitochondria or whatever they call. I don't know the scientific terms of how plants grow, but he was like, man, like, drop the shades when you go to work. Like, don't leave so much light in the room. And Christine Kane said something so powerful one time. She said, when the light that is on you is greater than the light that's in you, it's a wrap.
Yep.
So that is why this time, the hiatus, is so important for me, because me and my boy Retton, who went to Alabama and played basketball, love Retton, we've always talked about, hey, bro, we got to go in the dark room.
Yep.
It's the same thing they do with photos.
Yep.
Got to take them in that dark room to get the picture that you want.
Fully exposed. And that's what it is with our potential. You know, everyone sees what you're doing now, sees what I'm doing now, and they see this this end result, this end product, which we know we're still a work in progress. Yeah. But it's like, you didn't see when I was in complete unknown, complete darkness,
you ain't
wandering
see me.
around, trying to find something to hold on to.
Broke, busted, disgusted, crying in my parents' basement, not knowing what I wanted to do.
And people don't know how close they can be to popping out of the surface. You could be this close. I literally was paying down my credit card, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna next month. I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
Wow.
But I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna have faith, and then things like, how much do you trust me? And it's like, how close I was to the surface. You know what I mean? Of coming out and seeing the light and being like, oh shit, I understand why I had to go through all of this.
Yes.
Because it's where you develop roots, and it's like the caterpillar into the butterfly. The butterfly doesn't know what color's wings it is.
Yeah.
It can't see it. The whole world can see it. Sometimes you don't know what's on the inside of you that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
until you're pressed.
And in the middle of becoming a butterfly, you go into nothing. It like literally dissolves. The caterpillar dissolves into like goop. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just have so much grace for yourself if you're in that season, because it doesn't mean you're doing life wrong.
Wow. Come on.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
You might be doing it. Glennon Doyle says, if life's hard, it's not because you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. It's because you're doing it right.
Wow. That's right. Yeah. No, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. My oldest brother, Tim, he says it, handle hard better. Mm-hmm. That's what you want to do. That,
and you can't wait till life's not hard to decide to be happy.
I love that. I love that, because we talk about that all the time. I remember, I'm like, man, look, I'm the same dude, and I have the same joy that I had in that 900 square foot dirty carpet, hole in the wall apartment in Studio City, as I do having properties and having a penthouse or have whatever, the things that I like.
Because people think when I get there, I get there, then I'll be happy.
Man, I had so many. Listen, what is what Drake say? Just because I'm in the penthouse, don't think shit sweet. Double play on words there. Like it ain't. It's not like. I remember days being in that place in LA, and like you've said, like my life, what's being reflected on the outside, like that ain't. I'm not. I ain't feeling it, bro. And being like, dang, this is it. I love. One of my buddies was talking to me one day, and he was telling me about like the time that it takes for something new to feel like normal or old again. And they were like talking about like a new house. I think it takes like 5 years. Like if you were to build a brand new house, your dream house, after 5 years, you lose the luster of that. Yeah. Like a new car, they said is like under a year.
Relationship's like 6 months.
Relationship, yeah.
And then it's over.
Yeah, relationship's like 6 months. She's like, all
right.
Yo, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and so it goes back to what we're saying of like finding that true version of yourself that doesn't get really tossed and turned by the winds and the storms of life, but you set anchor in something, man. It's like, yo, I'm gonna get, it feel like this right now, but it's peace in the storm. Like, man, I love that. One of my favorite stories, man, in the Bible is like, yo, Jesus is funny. Like, I love that guy had a sense of humor. Bruh, they on a boat in the midst of that storm, and he is knocked out asleep because guess what? He is living in the identity of who he is.
Right.
He is peace. I'm being who I am. My boy Nico. Go ahead.
That just goes to show that you are not your circumstances.
That's it.
Because here's the thing. If your lot in life, your peace, your happiness is dependent on your circumstances, the moment that is taken from you, you are lost.
You lost. You're lost.
So if your happiness is in that bank account, your happiness is in that NCIS season 5, who am I without that? So it's true peace doesn't come from perfecting your circumstances. It comes from being okay and sourcing peace that's there with you despite your circumstances.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
And that comes from something completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Than what we've been taught and trained to do, because we're all trying to go around, how can I make everything exactly conform to my will so that I can be peaceful and happy?
Yeah.
And then the moment that you get the call or that your show's canceled or the girl breaks up with you, then you're like, there goes my peace. My peace walked out the door.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is that is the best defense against like I always say, like, when I catch myself being like, man, I should have done this because if I had done that, then I'd be feeling like this right now. Like, if I had done that, if I'd have made a choice to do that thing in my life, then I'd be feeling like this right now. And it's like, nah, bro, what you're trying to do is change some circumstance around where, hey, in the moment, you felt like you were making the right decision. But at the end of the day, whether you made the decision and it turned out to be right in the moment or wrong when you look back at it, like, that decision shouldn't determine my overall temperature of peace, right? Like, my thermostat should be set. And just how in my house growing up, we used to fight over the thermostat.
Yeah.
I fight for my thermostat when it comes to my peace. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to my peace and my joy, there are certain things that are concrete that I can practice daily that are going to set that equilibrium, you know? And situations and circumstances do not apply to that formula. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's gonna change with the day.
Peter Crone says, true happiness is the absence of the search for happiness.
Wow.
He's like, if you get that, it'll change your life. It's like you think it's in the searching and it's out there somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
It's in the achieving or the accumulation of things.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's again sourced from within that is accessible now in this moment, despite what your circumstance looks like.
Yeah.
Because how many times you can go to a third world country and see people full of joy,
Oh my gosh.
dancing, having the time of their life. Why are they happy?
Why are they happy? Yeah. Yep. I remember when I the first time I went to Africa, that was me. I'm like, yo, we have been duped in the West, bro, to believe that you need X, Y, and Z in order for you to be happy, in order for you to have peace or joy or whatever it is. And I'm like looking at these babies who have 10 times the joy that I had personally, and, you know, rich, successful people around me. And it's like, what is that coming from? Right? Where is that flowing from? This baby is 2 years old, no shoes, no diaper on, T-shirt if they got one, maybe. And it's like how? And you look, and for me, it's like, it goes back to what we were talking about. It's like, what is the true source of what is sustaining you? What are you relying on to wake up and feel that way every day, or to feel good about yourself, or to have peace? To wake up and just be like, even if you do got a mountain of bills, even if you're walking through situations like you did with your mother and your sister, right? You know, being removed from that, like, it's like, it is amazing to think about the fact that there is a source of peace that is, you can't comprehend it. You just gotta dive in, and you gotta trust it. And I think that for me, if I were to ever be in a conversation about, you know, whether like being a believer or not being a believer, I'm like, the peace that God offers is
it transcends understanding.
It does.
And
it does.
There's so much that our minds can't fully understand.
Comprehend. And you know what? You come to the place where you're happy about that. I'm glad I'm glad you didn't give me that responsibility of having you said, you know what? I'm gonna leave you with a helper, my Holy Spirit, a piece of me, and this can dwell in you, and you can have access to me at any point in given time. And even in that, you still have a choice. Because I know all the time, man, Holy Spirit be saying something to me, I'd be like, I don't know, man. You know, it's
not
like,
right now.
yeah, not right now, man. Hey, buzz off, man. This feel good right now, man. Let me wallow in this, man. Let me, you know, X, Y, Z. But
exactly.
It's I love that we got to take this journey where we got to on this conversation, because it brings me back to where you are now. And I'm like, what motivated you? I wouldn't say what motivated you. I would say, what was a part of your decision-making process that said, okay, like, my calling is in, like, serving people in this life coaching space, like this coachable space. And you asked me, what does coaching mean to you? And I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I found so much freedom and liberation from my own suffering when I learned these tools, right? Tools of new perspectives, new mindset, having a growth mindset over a fixed mindset, starting to look at how to, like gratitude.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
You know, starting to use the things that are available to me that connect me to the divine, my breath. It's the first thing we do when we come into this world. It's the last thing we do before we leave.
Yeah.
I can access God when I just sit still and breathe. Like, so when I would find tools and things that worked for me, that helped relieve my suffering, create more spaciousness and peace and accessibility to my own inner knowing and my own, like, internal pharmacy that knows how to heal me and give me support.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to give this to people.
Yes.
I can't
You can't even
keep this to myself.
Ain't no
like,
gatekeeping with that. Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
So we say, we're so much more alike than we are different. There's so much unnecessary suffering in the world. And I'm just like, so my service is giving away the things that work for me. And helping. And what I tell people is, if it resonates with you, if it lands with you, take it. If it doesn't, leave it.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool.
Yeah.
But
that's the freedom that we should live in today.
I'm going to keep sharing things that have helped me, because I'm confident that if you try it on for yourself, give it a real chance, it could potentially help you too. And that in turn just creates a more loving, connected, healthy place to live.
Well, it's like what you said for yourself. What helps you is you were looking at other people who had been through similar situations, and you were able to say, okay, if they can dream again, if they can love again, if they can, do all these things again, so can I.
Can I too? Yeah.
And that's the cycle of life, right? You hope for is that you continue to perpetuate, the things that you have found along your healing journey. And like you said, being able to ball it up, package it, and say, hey. It's
your, the way you say it is, I send the elevator back down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that I try to do. And yeah, it's the most meaningful thing I could offer the world, because it's been the most meaningful thing that I've experienced. It's given me something to make life worth living.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty valuable.
Where do you see Tori Gordon, life coach, podcast extraordinaire? Where do you see her in 5 years?
I don't even know if I have the foresight for that, because if you would ask me if I'd be sitting here 5 years ago, I would have, couldn't have even seen it. It's so far beyond what I could have imagined for myself. I'm already living in that reality.
Amazing.
More of this, more sharing the stories and the wisdom and bottling it up, and interviewing people that have, same type of perspectives to give, but on a bigger scale. Just more of this, more. And it evolves, as I learn more about myself, as I find pockets of myself that I haven't explored, I get to go into that.
Yeah.
Being out in Vegas last year, I've really explored, like, how do I want to play? How do I want to express? What do I find enjoyable and fun? And what does that mean to me? And like, exploring.
We're getting a different version of Tori today, man. We getting coach took the blazer off.
It has to be so serious and intense all the time, because that was what I was. Tends to be how, like, my work leans pretty heavy in that way, but it's like you do this work so that you can be light.
That's it. That's it. That is one of the true rewards of doing that, of putting that work in.
Yeah.
That of being able to, find the moments of taking the steps back and being like, I'm gonna cut loose for a little bit. I'm gonna enjoy this life that, that I have, that this beautiful life that God has so graciously, gifted me with and blessed me with. And the icing on the cake is that throughout that journey, you get to serve and you get to help people, grow. One of the I would say the greatest gifts in my life is being able to see my parents serve people and see the way that they have done ministry. And all of it started, obviously, when they're younger, obviously how their lives were shaped, but it really starts with the love that they have for themselves and for each other. And that they love on other people in just such a, I don't know, they just have a special grace and capacity for it. But just like both of my parents have been through very traumatic situations in their life. And you said something that reminded me of how my dad is, and he is so serious. But that is what his life has required. The life he lives now, the seriousness of who he is and how intense he is, he needed that in order to be the man he is today, with, being almost married 40 years, being Alabama's chaplain for 23 years, having 6 kids that went to college, graduated college, like all of these things, that's what his life called for. Yeah. It's who you are when I look up and I see you in 5 years, and you are doing this on a larger scale, and you have been able to penetrate people's hearts on a very deep level. I just will be able to, still look back and say and look at the things you went through. And if somebody were to ever ask me about you and ask me about, how did she get through this, or look at that, or look at this, I'd be like, that's what it took. That's what it took. Like one of the guys that my dad mentored, he had really heard my dad's testimony in depth one time. My dad was giving, sharing some stories about what he went through as a boy, growing up, the abuse, the shame, all of these things he went with. And he was like, man, your dad needed that. God knew that that whatever the pain, circumstance, situation he was going through, he needed it. And God was going to use it in order to get him where he is today, the ultimate destiny that he has over his life, right? And ultimately being able to impact thousands of people and personally impact hundreds of young men and women, And so if I could encourage you as a friend and a brother in the Lord, everything that you're doing in every part of the journey that you're on, you've come to see that, dang, this isn't just for Tori. This is for me to give this to someone else. That's what a young world changer is to me. When I've said that, I always talk about being a young world changer. It's being able to walk through those things, take what you need out of it, and in changing your world around you, it permeates,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Diamonds are forged under pressure.
That's it. So. That's it. The only way you get olive oil is you got to crush the olive. Yeah. But man, I am. This conversation was undoubtedly one of my favorites because being able to see somebody that shines so bright and has so much light out of them, but has seen so much darkness, man, it's special. It really is. And I appreciate you for being vulnerable and being open and also inviting us up here. Hell you know what I'm saying? Inviting us to Vegas, man. Getting to come, me and Brandon out here, get to have fun and have these conversations and just love on one another, and encourage one another. And I would say as we go out, where can, everybody that is tuned into the Hiatus Podcast, you know, where can they find you?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun. I'm glad you came all the way to Sin City. But yeah, you can find me on social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. I'm the Tori Gordon. And then I run a podcast called the Coachable Podcast, where we have some of the best experts in the game on to learn how to do life a little bit better. So come on, hang out on my side of the internet.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey. Yes, it. Hey, yeah, man. She topping charts right now. She topping charts. If we had to, we'll do it right now, man, for real. But yo, I'm so happy to know you, proud to know you, and man, thanks for stopping by the Hiatus. You guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been another amazing episode of the Hiatus. We love you guys. Peace.